A celebration of scent, 49 favourites. A while ago, back in March, Sarah Crowder shared a list she'd crafted about 41 of her favourite smells. She's certainly charmed having a birthday on the 21st of March. There's power in that. At the time, I thought this is a great idea, and set myself a challenge of doing likewise, once I reached the semi-mystical age of 49 years. Since, I have been keeping notes on this, and a few weeks after my birthday, it's time to share my own list, in no particular order. Note, I'd originally intended to do similarly to Sarah, a note listing things, but then, as I kept my list of ideas, it turned into an obvious post. I try not to include anything too universally admired. It's hard, though, and I've sneakily snuck some of those smells into others below. There's no petrichor, though, which is a shame. Before we begin with my own, here's Sarah's excellent list with a frankly fantastic photograph. I've illustrated my own piece with photos of my own, linking to some of the scents I've shared. Finally, before we begin, I'm not including any scents deemed too adult by nature, as I know some of you might not appreciate that. Also, my mum reads this. Hi, Mum. I'll let your imaginations fill in the blanks on these. Blimey, your head went there? Shut up, Alex. Ed. The list. 49 plus favourite scents. Number 1. The scent of wedding straps left out in the forest. For example, those of my hammock and that of my wildlife trail camera. They absorb something of the spirit of a tree, something not quite bark nor moss, but beyond both. Number 2. Similar to this, the scent of my principal tarp, the one I use for my extended stays out in the woods. It is rich in campfire notes with hints of the forest itself, rain, sun, wind, cold and heat, falling leaves and fragments of lichen. Made from a sort of polycotton, over the years the material has become something else, grown into a thing with a scent of its own. Number 3. The particular smell of napping and abrading a flint. I think I prefer this to the scent derived from striking a light from a flint, but that is also delicious. Number 4. The dark rocks of a cove by Little Burrageo in Deerness, when there has been sunshine for 3 days and little wind. A rare phenomenon in Orkney. This warms them and traps and distills the sea and land, and particularly the coast, into one distinctive smell. It has top notes of crumbling sandstone, iodine and salt, with a rich body derived from a more volcanic, harder rock. Other places on the same coast don't quite capture the same depth of scent, and when I lived near there, if they did have the scent, it would have been lost beneath tons of guano from the tens of thousands of seabirds who used to nest there. Last time I visited in spring, those cliffs lay comparatively silent, many of the birds dead or gone northward. Number 5. Evening night blooming jasmine and frangipani after a hot tropical day. Before the night mosquitoes appear in force, but as the day ones are going to bed. Number 6. Old books, obviously, but to make it a little more personal, I'll be a touch more specific. The scent of a particular journal, once a chunky ledger for a company back in the 1800s, a company who only filled in 5 pages of 2,000 plus before abandoning that ledger. Now it has been passed to me, and every time I open her, the scent is transporting. And, if I'm honest, a little off-putting. I want to use her pages, fill her in some way, but I've yet to quite learn how, and I find the ancient smell akin to an elderly mystic sitting silently and peacefully, yet somehow also judging me. Number 7. Tulsi I've grown, harvested and dried myself, particularly Ethiopian tulsi. It is a bit tutti-frutti, a bit sharp, a bit wonderful, all its own thing. Number 8. Otter-spranked, or poop. Yeah, I know, but to smell this as you walk a river or a coast is one of those times where the nose can sometimes confirm an animal before the other senses, and I love that. See also the scent of deer in a thick wood, but not the scent of wild boar, despite being an awesome thing, knowing they're hiding up in that thicket on that ridge just from smell alone. It ain't as nice as deer, and neither can touch the otter poop for sheer sort of jasmine nose joy. Number 9. Givenchy Very Irresistible for Men. My go-to scent back in the mid-2000s through to early 2010s. Criminally deleted by the company. It fit me and my skin so well. Somewhat chocolatey, although the middle notes are actually coffee and sesame. Top notes included mint and grapefruit, with a base of Virginia cedar and hazelnut. Absolutely my favourite manufactured perfume for men, hands down, and I mourn its loss still. Honourable mention over the years for Issey Miyake L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme, and vintage Burberry Men, and, to a lesser extent, vintage Burberry Weekend for summer. These days I wear nothing, have no added scent. I even use a simple, scentless, solid deodorant. I'm not even comfortable with too strong an odour for a washing liquid, probably all due to ADHD. If I find a scent I love, that's different. Oh, for the day my unanswered pleas to Givenchy are met. But I ain't spraying myself in something mediocre. Number 10. One particular green Thai balm, used for all sorts of things, including mosquito bites, for example. I have no idea what it is called or what is in it, but it comes from Pumpan, and I love it. Number 11. That smell which emanates from a really good fish and chip shop when the door is opened. Part fish, part oil, part salt and vinegar, all addictive. Number 12. Hedgerows in spring bloom. This is a cheat, as it means I can include things like elderflower, hawthorn, wild roses, damp ditches after a night rain, warming leaves of stray raspberry canes and sharp tangles of blackberries, honeysuckle, linden, and so many others. Number 13. Oakwood burning on a campfire, beechwood burning in a stove, ash on and in both, birchwood forever. Number 14. Great draughts of humid nighttime August air, circa 1987, coming in from the once vast swamp of the Humberhead levels, as the pea viners light up the fields and cast a scent far and wide. Number 15. The leather sheath on my favourite knife, an Isaki Yirvanpah Puko, worn and full of my own oils and hints of all the times it has been out in the woods, coast, mountains, and moors. Perhaps a memory of blood from slips and carelessness when I was younger. See also the leather belt I have worn for years, and old, well-maintained, vegetable-tanned leather in general. Number 16. Whatever plastic Lego is made from, when accumulated in a box, played with for years, perhaps chewed a little, full of promise and hope. Number 17. Turpentine, including the turpentine scent of fat wood when harvested. Breaking a pine branch or chopping at the base of a dead pine and smelling this is like smelling the fire it will kindle in a different form. Number 18. Wild chives brush past on a forest trail. And also the cool mountain wind bringing down the overpowering scent of wild bear garlic every spring, rushing through the village and reminding me it's time to make pesto. Number 19. Similarly, wild strawberry. Their scent is a vast part of the taste, and oh my, it is heavenly. I also love gathering their leaves or tisane. I could wax lyrical about sun-warmed strawberries, or a perfect passion fruit, or those purple-fleshed dragon fruit, or several other types of fruit. How the scent of those freshly picked is utterly different from the pallid and dry examples you find in shops. How we should all try and taste these things properly at least once in our lives, and how such a massive part of that tasting comes through the nose. Number 20. Sphagnum moss, when plucked for cleaning purposes, whether for my billy can with wood ash and sand, or my derriere without wood ash or sand. Number 21. Balloons when stretched out, and then as I blow into them and inhale again, a scent that goes hand in hand with an excited child. Number 22. My fedora, dating to 1930s Germany, with a later addition of an added internal soft leather headband after I cut off all my hair back in 2002-ish, to compensate for its lack and make it fit again. It is rich in memory of felt, wearing and weather, and carries a dignified weight which befits being nearly 100 years old, and as good as it ever was. £10 from Oxfam, Broom Hill, Sheffield, 2001. I wear it a lot in winter here, mostly at my computer on dark days so as to stop the glare of the lights above annoying me too much and to keep my head warm. I always wonder at its journey. And yes, of course Indy was an inspiration. I was reading archaeology and prehistory at the time, after all. Number 23. Turning and using compost when time has done its magic. A richness and reward, a promise of life to come. Number 24. Opening a new quality board game box, pushing out cardboard counters and pieces, handling wooden tokens and thinking of how many times they'll be moved around, and all the little stories they'll build, stories which will rarely be remembered. The sense of this is intrinsically tied in with the future. Number 25. Likewise, certain acrylic paints, also tied to a memory of the future, reminding me of when I used to paint Games Workshop models and wonder what the future would bring for them, for battles and campaigns to be fought. Ultimately, it brought me selling almost all of them, years later, now vintage, the money funding months of adventure in the woods. A fair trade. Acrylic paint smell will always transport me back to my teenage years in the 1990s. Number 26. The smell of the art hut, used by Stromness Primary School, but actually a part of the old Stromness Academy, mid-1980s. All warm wooden floors and walls, pencil shavings, paints, paint water, which I once drank for a dare and did not die. Inks, papers, canvas, and rubbers, perhaps made of real vulcanized rubber. Those tiny used tendrils of once tree blood now strewn in the cracks of the hut, lost, trying to transfuse themselves back into a similar body. This scent underpins all art I create. Number 27. Brinky's bray above Stromness, Maytime, when the heather, gorse and peat are warmed by the rapidly lengthening days and the sea breeze is fresh and glorious. Even back then in my childhood, the knowledge that the sleeping uranium deposits beneath the West Mainland was still there, still a threat if extracted, a part of the whole, added a frisson, vision, of danger to a delicious scent. Orkney has a particular series of scents, something you will no doubt know if you have ever lived there or visited. Go up one hill and it smells a certain way, that beach over there different to that other one. Thousands of scents, each a place marker, a point in space and time, found only through the nose. Number 28. Smoke machine smoke, especially when overused and in a small, badly ventilated club, mid to late 90s, perhaps early 2000s. The scent overpowering that of sweating dancers, of stale beer, cigarette smoke, and dubious deodorant. Number 29. The sweetness of Golden Virginia, the slightly more raw and rugged Old Holborn. Most pipe tobacco, but never anything pre-rolled, unless it is a very good cigar, or that curious box of perhaps Turkish cigarettes I was once gifted decades ago. It's been a long time since I smoked, and I find I miss the ritual of rolling a cigarette or packing a pipe more than the act of actually smoking it. Number 30. The A4961 Road, on certain mornings between 1993 and 1995, where it passes through the Highland Park Distillery. Similarly, when there was a southeast wind blowing from the old Pulteney Distillery in Wick. Number 31. My Matterhorn leather combat boots, worn for archaeological survey field walking work in the Sierra of central Spain, 2003 in August. During the day it was fiercely heatwave hot, and everything was scented by the wild mountain thyme. Those boots still retain a hint of this scent today, over 20 years later. Number 32. The Fynbos, scent blown to the nostrils by the Cape Doctor. As I stepped out of the aircon bubble of Cape Town Airport, that smell was something utterly alien to me. My first new floristic kingdom outside the one I had grown entwined within. It smelled of adventure, of self-discovery, of a different path. Number 33. A certain batch of beef jerky for a Scottish bushcraft adventure I made back in 2008. I've never quite got it right since, but it was utterly delicious, and the scent was a big part of that. Maybe a bit Worcestershire sauce, a touch dark soy, some chili flakes, salt, and good lean beef, but very much its own thing, blended. Number 34. The warm, sleepy smell of Elsa when I wake her first thing in the morning. An olfactory hug every time, reminding me of the journey to that point, every time. Number 35. Salt and vinegar sticks, circa 1990. Close second, pickled onion flavour Monster Munch, similar temporal zone. Likewise, an old-fashioned sweet shop. Tendrils of blackjacks mixed with rhubarb and custard, hints of gobstoppers and sickly sweet flumps, something chocolate, something lime, something which makes the mouth water and the nose crave more, as though the air is so laden with sugared treats that we get a different hit with each inhalation. Also, Heinz tomato soup with my mum's homemade bread, from when she had the first bread machine, a rare treat. Number 36. The wildness of my then lover, who we'll call Daisy. Her scent, a marvel I cannot even begin to describe, a long, long time ago, when I was learning much about the world. She captured something I felt a part of, something I felt apart from, something I wanted to explore deeply, and a part of me I was afraid of, all perfectly distilled into how she smelled. For teenage me, she was a revelation. Number 37. Argan oil, sun-warmed on skin. Sometimes also coconut oil, but that always makes me long for the gorse bloom. Occasionally also shea butter, depending on who has it on them. And certainly the oils I make for Aurelie, which she applies before bed, infused with calendula, a touch of lavender, plantain, yarrow, St. John's wort, all infused in olive oil and blended just so. Also, I love the go-to balm I make too, very similar ingredients, with added beeswax and sometimes usnea, itself a scent I adore. Number 38. A particular bouquet of wildflowers I went out along the field edges to carefully select before heading to Stennis Primary School one spring morning, destined for the desk of the girl I really fancied at the time, a secret smuggled declaration. I can still smell it now, 40 years later. Weird, huh? Number 39. My current tisane of choice, a few leaves of birch, some mugwort, a pinch of tulsi, a few straggles of yarrow, lemon balm and rosemary. It was even better when I had jugalan, but I've run out now. Sad face. It has one smell once mixed and another once the water has added, and I view both as sides of a coin. Ritual and ritualistic practices often come with deep intrinsic sense embedded within them. Although I often take it far too much for granted, cuppa addict that I am, the scent of a strong black tea is another good example. Coffee too, less obviously, Thai tea, no extra sugar. Number 40. How Aurelie would smell when she came home after a day dive master training. Salty and warm, carrying hints of another world into my nostrils, a world I am highly unlikely to ever explore myself. Number 41. How I smell after I am disciplined enough to use the little gym I built in the workshop downstairs. A bit dusty, hands somewhat metallic with a hint of rubber and boxing glove, overlain with fresh sweat and sometimes chocolate protein powder. It is the scent of a form of progress and achievement. See also the smell of printing out a chapter to edit by hand, refilling a fountain pen, cracking open a new journal, etc. Number 42. Whatever mascara and eyeliner I used back in the day when heading out. I cannot for the life of me recall the brand of either, but that combo was powerful magic, a mask and lure both. Number 43. My own hoisin sauce. It is just yummy, perfectly umami-scented, perfect silage. I should really write down the recipe at some point. It might not be, isn't, truly authentic, but it is delicious and smells awesome. Number 44. Bonfire night, again decades ago. In this case, especially Guy Fawkes night. There's a strong argument for Samhain and Beltane too, but those are more adult memories and scents for me. Wood smoke, gunpowder and sparklers, toffee apples, bonfire toffee, and frying onions. Number 45. Old places of worship and gathering. Whether the small and mouldering C of E churches I remember from Lincolnshire, the grand European cathedrals, Asian temples, stone circles at sunrise, or a small, almost forgotten spring in the forest. These places have a scent which carries power and depth of human prehistory straight through the nose and into the soul. Number 46. The sea. Especially the Atlantic breaking onto Europe, crumbling her shores and pulling in mysteries from the deep places, especially in Scotland. The sea is something I have tried to share my thoughts about before a lot, and I know I will never even come close. This is a good thing. Number 47. The first tendril of smoke when you light a fire with sticks, as in rubbing them together. There is no scent more directly correlated to hope than this, and I think probably never has been and never will be. Number 48. Argos Bakery in Stromness, Orkney. Especially the precise scent when you ask for one of their legendary custard donuts and they reach in to get it. I've now been sans gluten for around 15 years, thanks to a high level of intolerance, and it saddens me to think I'll never get to eat one of those again. Still, I have the memory and the scent. Number 49. An old suitcase of treasures, found in a barn or attic, slightly mouldering, scented faintly with mothballs and strongly with time. There is a particular scent to opening a thing or space which has been shut for a long time, as though you are inhaling the past, which, in many ways, I guess you are. Once upon a time, my sisters and I found treasure in one of the outbuildings near our house. It was not our treasure, but then we were pirates rather than the crown. The buildings were not ours, but we played there regardless. There were mice and rats and birds, and who knew what else. One day we moved a straw and bird-dropping covered tarp to find a container. I remember not what it was precisely, maybe a decayed cardboard box or an old suitcase. My memory makes it a suitcase, but my memory is no longer the best judge of these matters. Or perhaps a wooden crate, with the contents spilling out into the straw and poop. There was something bright there in the gloom, and as we looked more closely, we realized it was a stamp from somewhere far away and long ago, a moment in two times linked by journeys, from whoever wrote and sent the letter to whoever received it to whoever saved the stamp to us. The smell of that moment of discovering this little rectangle of another place and time, that scent has stuck with me. Needless to say, we excavated a little further and found more stamps, then a whole album, each page rich with that vanillin-esque scent of slowly decaying paper. A wealth of beautiful images made more precious by their precarious position. Old barns sometimes smell like this, as do rooms which have not been aired for a long time, or cellars locked away and forgotten. It is not always a comfortable scent, but it is a true scent of adventure, of mystery, of childhood, and it remains a favourite of mine. And yes, despite the protestations of our parents, we kept those stamps. None of us could stand to see or smell them decay any more. What about you? What about you? Do you have a favourite scent, or a whole list of them? Does something inhaled remind you of a moment, as when you walk through a crowd and someone passes you wearing a perfume you associate with someone else, long ago, forgotten, but for that reminder? Finally, I have left out a veritable catalogue of favourite scents here. I knew finding 49 would not be a problem, but I did not quite anticipate how many others would be left out, unsniffed and unshared. Maybe, if I make it and the internet is still a thing, I'll share a further list at some other big birthday in the future, with new old scents. Many thanks for reading. I really appreciate that you do. It has been a while since I shared something other than my Witness Notes series, but I have plans I'll discuss in a few weeks, plans which should see more shared here and elsewhere, along with updates to other work too. It feels like it is time to do so. As I discussed here, the only work I'll be paywalling in future will be my fiction once a piece has initially been shared for free. However, there is still an option to subscribe, simply as a way to support my writing, and for those of you who do so, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. I don't like gatekeeping if I can help it, so sharing things for free and hoping that people still see the value in it seems a good balance to me. If a subscription is not possible, but you wish to support my work, then I have a Ko-fi link here, where you can pay for a cup of tea or more if you wish and can afford to. If you cannot afford a monetary amount, please remember that sharing my work here and elsewhere, or forwarding an email, liking a piece, or especially commenting is also a fantastic way to show support. I try to get to all the comments, but sometimes it takes a wee while to do so. That does not mean I don't appreciate them. I really do. Thank you. Finally, thanks again for reading. I hope this list has made you think about how scent and smell is so very important to the majority of us, and how we often ignore it anyway.